two famous novels of our Gita's national hero, Dr. Jose P. Rizal. And today, we will be tackling about the NOLI, tangere, and el filibusteresmo. The novels of Jose Rizal were so powerful that this serves as eye-opener for Filipinos and Spaniards in the social ills and defects perpetrated by the Spanish authorities in clergies and embedded by some Filipinos. The novels reflected the social conditions of the Philippines at that time. Jose Rizal thought these novels had inspired the revolutions that ended more than 3 centuries of Spanish colonial rule in the Philippines. He also expressed his views and ideas about the Philippine society and its people.
So today, I am going to discuss the NOLI Tangere. NOLI Tangere was Rizal's first novel. He was 26 at its publication. This book was historically significant and was instrumental in the establishing of the Filipino sense of national identity. The book indirectly influenced a revelation, although the author Jose Rizal advocated violent means and only direct representation to the Spanish government. The novel was written in Spanish, the language of the educated at a time when Filipinos were markedly segregated by diverse native languages and regional cultures. It was published in 1887 in Berlin, Germany through the financial aid from Maximo Viola. The title means "Touch Me Not." It is a Latin version of words spoken by Jesus and Mary Magdalene after the resurrection, John 20:13-17. The original English translation is "The Social Cancer." In the introduction, Jose Rizal dedicated the novel to the Philippines or fatherland, hoping that by exposing the social cancer, reforms will be granted for its improvement. It was written in Spanish, which intended to raise political consciousness in relation to the current state of affairs in the Philippines. Jose Rizal hoped that through this novel, Spain, the mother country, will be aware of the conditions of the Philippines and gather the needed reforms for the betterment and progress of the country and its people. Thoughts and ideas of Jose Rizal in the novel. First is social cancer. Jose Rizal referred to the social cancer as the abuses and injustices committed by the Spanish authorities and clergies and the defects of Filipinos, which constituted the prevailing social conditions of that time. The flaws in the main characters of the novel reflect the traits of Spanish authorities and clergies and the Filipinos who have embedded or assimilated these defects, caused and perpetuated by the Spanish colonial regime. Second is, Jose Rizal viewed the friars as the major cause of the social cancer. Jose Rizal emphasized in the novel that the friars hindered the attainment of progress, justice, and reforms in the Philippines. The country became stagnant and backward because the friars controlled almost every aspect of the Filipinos. Rizal also exposed the power and influence of the friars, that they were the ones who practically ran the government. He also showed the power struggle between the Spanish civil authorities and the Spanish clergies. Third is, Jose Rizal criticized religious fanaticism of Filipinos. The NOLI Tangere portrayed the religious fanaticism of Filipino through the mindless religiosity exhibited by main characters in the novel. The Spanish clergies were blamed as the perpetrators of religious fanaticism. And last one is, Jose Rizal emphasized that education is a prerequisite of reform, progress, and social change. Rizal emphasized through the character of Crisostomo how education would bring about the progress and social change. In the novel Ibarra planned to establish a school that will educate the Filipinos but was not realized due to the opposition of Spanish clergies who had personal grudge on him.
And now, let's proceed to the second novels of Dr. Jose Rizal. El filibusteresmo, it was published in 1891 in Belgium through the financial aid from Valentin Ventura. The title was derived from the word filibustero, a word which, according to Jose Rizal, was little known by the Filipinos at that time, in that the educated class feared the reach of the word. This word was also used by the Spanish authorities to refer to a revolutionary person. Rizal further defined filibustero as a dangerous patriot who will soon be hanged as a presumptuous man. Jose Rizal dedicated the novels to the Gomborza, the three priests who were executed in Bagumbayan for being implicated in the Cavite Mutiny in 1872. Was written in Spanish and intended to raise political consciousness in relation to the state of affairs in the Philippines observed by Rizal. The theme of the filibusteresmo focuses on the revolutions as an alternative solutions to reforms that the field to create a significant change in the country. However, Jose Rizal also emphasized the danger of revolutions that is built upon hatred and vengeance. Jose Rizal thoughts of how justice may be attained. Jose Rizal, through the character of Cabezang Tales and Simon, discussed the moral issues in attaining justice, especially when the injustice were committed by the Spanish authorities. Revolution as an alternative to reform. Jose Rizal discussed the alternative for the Philippines and Filipinos in the debate between Simon and Basilio about reform and revolution. Simon tried to convince Basilio that revolution is the only way to attain independence. In progress, Basilio remained naive and maintained that social change could be achieved through the reforms that Spain will grant the Philippines. He was hoping to elevate the physical ills of the Filipinos and live his own life and fulfill his ambitions of becoming a doctor. Jose Rizal posited that rebellion or revolutions that will topple the Spanish colonial regime could be an alternative for the failure of reforms coming from Spain. The failures of the rebellion was attributed not on the idea of rebellion as a means of social change, but on the motives and qualities of the people who supported and perpetrated the rebellion. Qualities that a leader of social change must be possessed. Jose Rizal might be advocating rebellion as a means of social change but killed Simon, the main character that instigated rebellion against Spanish authorities. Historians and Rizal scholars inferred that Simon was killed in the novel for he was not worthy to lead the rebellion. It was pointed out that thought the motive of rebellion is not noble and justified social transformation. Simon's objectives were personal hatred and vengeance for the injustice committed to him and to his family and loved ones. Simon manipulated others to get his vengeance. The failure of revolution was further explained by Rizal through the character of Father Florentino, who was stressed the importance of education, justice, and morality and the attainment of freedom. The defects of the Spanish colonial regime in the Filipino people. Jose Rizal did not only focus on the evils of the Spanish authorities and clergies but also the defects of the Filipino people. Rizal pointed out through the character in the novel such of those of Doña Victorina, Basilio, Simon, and Cabezang Tales, how Filipinos have embedded these defects brought about by the Spanish colonial regime.
Both novels depict the abuse of Filipinos by Spanish friars and the Church its use of power. show discriminations against Filipinos and incite them to rise against Spanish oppressors, portray the corruptions of politicians and officials in the Spanish-occupied Philippines. These two novels, NOLI Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, are pivotal works by Jose Rizal that shed light on injustices faced by Filipinos under Spanish colonial rule, inciting a spirit of revolutions and resistance among the people, while NOLI Me Tangere focuses on a romantic and hopeful theme, illustrating the oppression suffered by Filipinos. El Filibusterismo delves into a darker narrative of societal inconvenience and revolution. Both works resonate with themes of abuse, discriminations, and corruptions, urge Filipino to challenge the status and fight for their freedom. Quote of NOLI Me Tangere: "The people do not complain because they have no voice. Do not move because they are lethargic. And you say that they do not suffer because you have not seen their hearts bleed." These quotes from NOLI Me Tangere reflects the plight of the Filipinos peoples under Spanish colonial rule. It highlights the oppression, suffering, and voicelessness of the populace due to the oppressive regime, showcasing the needs for resistance and the fight for justice and equality. Now, let's move to the second quote, El Filibusterismo. And now, let's move to the second quote, which is El Filibusterismo. It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One is evil, he is anger, envy, sorrow, regrets, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority. This quote from El Filibusterismo symbolizes the internal struggle within individuals and society. It illustrates the battle between good and evil, shedding light on the vices that plague humanity. It reflects the dark and vengeful theme of the novel, emphasizing the internal conflicts and societal injustices present in the narrative. So these quotes from NOLI Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo encapsulate the themes of oppressions, resistance, societal struggles, and the fights against injustice prevalent in Jose Rizal works. NOLI Me Tangere explores the sufferings and voicelessness of the Filipino people under colonial rule, while El Filibusterismo delves into internal and external conflicts faced by individuals and society in the fight against tyranny and corruption.
That's all for our presentations. Hope you gain insight about the two novels of Dr. Jose Rizal, and truly his works deserves to be remembered and appreciated.